You are listening to the Horse Radio Network, part of the Equine Network family.
What a beautiful day for horses in the morning.
You are listening to the #1 horse podcast in the world. Here is your entertaining look at the horse world and the people in it.
I am Glenn the Geek from Ocala, Florida, and you're listening to Horses in the Morning on the Horse Radio Network for Wednesday, July the 24th, episode 3482. Good morning, Horse World. Well, Jamie is just a little late to get to the show today. She had a vet show up late for one of the horses, and we all know how that is. So on today's show, she'll be here in a second. We are going to address the Charlotte Dujardin withdrawal from the Olympics situation. Then we're going to get a live report from Kim Porter from the Chincoteague Pony Swim, which is happening this morning. We always get, I think we've had live reports for the last 10 years. And then Laura Kenny's going to join us. She's extension educator for the Penn State Extension Office, and she's going to tell us what trees are bad in our pastures, plus some weird news. We have a lot going on today. And joining me right now, joining us as soon as Jamie gets here, is our UK correspondent, Katie Gilmore. So Katie, good morning. Thanks for joining us at the beginning of the show.
Morning, no worries at all.
Well, you and I were talking all day yesterday, and I just want, we have to talk about the Charlotte Dujardin situation, and I just wanted to start this by saying, everybody knows how I hate talking about this stuff, but we've been talking about this kind of thing since the show started, and I said years ago when we were talking about the whole carriage situation in New York that this is a snowball rolling downhill and it's going to take us all with it eventually. And these little things just add up. There's no winners here. There's no winners in this whole entire situation. The horses don't win. The people don't win. The sport and riding horses in general doesn't win. And Katie, I know that you're from the UK, and obviously if anybody didn't see it, which I don't know how they didn't, Charlotte Dujardin came out with a statement yesterday saying a video has come out that's a number of years old. There's some question now as to whether it's 2 or 4 years old. A number of years old that showed me a not a good light, and for that reason, I'm going to bow out of the Olympics. And then it came out a couple hours later that the FEI was suspending her anyway.
That's right. Yes.
So now, can you kind of explain? Your show is called what's the exact name again? I always get it backwards.
Poles, Piaf, and Prosecco.
Okay, which you're the perfect one to join us for this conversation. So she was not riding when this happened. She was coaching. So tell us what the video shows.
Okay, absolutely. That's right. She was on the ground. She was coaching a rider who on the video itself has been blurred, so you can't see the rider. And she was using a lunge whip. Now, I understand she was trying to work the horse towards Piaf. I'm not entirely sure if that is definitely what she was doing, because that's not how we teach Piaf. But the video shows her striking the horse 20-odd times with the lunge whip. Now, the rider on board is clearly aiming for some sort of collection and is holding the horse back. So the horse is getting very mixed messages from Charlotte on the ground and from the rider. Do they go forward? Do they not? What is it that they want? And she does hit both the front legs and the hind legs. There's quite a crack from the lunge whip. I did have to watch it closely to see whether she was actually making contact with the horse or she was just using the noise. And obviously that's two different scenarios there. But unfortunately, it does look like the whip made contact with the horse in several places. So, from the point of view of the UK, it's shocking.
Well, because Charlotte, for those that don't follow this closely, she was the gold medal Olympian that everybody looked up to. I mean, we all love Charlotte.
Yeah. 6 medals she's won in 3 consecutive Olympic Games. If she had won a medal in Paris, she would have been the most decorated UK female Olympian.
So there's 2 things here, and I want to do this before we go any further. There's 2 things we're talking about. One is the fact that what she did, and then the second thing is the timing of this. But I think they're 2 separate things, right, that we need to discuss. So let's continue with what she did.
Yes.
I mean, it's just wrong. And, she came out and said it's a lapse of judgment. Well, I'm sorry, Charlotte, but you did this there. You've done it before. And to be honest, 30 years, 40 years ago, everybody did this stuff. And I guarantee you 50% of the professional trainers out there today still do it. or more?
I think, I mean, from watching the video, I have to say it was awful. It's incredibly uncomfortable to watch. No one wants to see a horse being beaten. And in this modern day, there is no place for it. Yes, that may well have happened 30 or 40 years ago, but we are more enlightened than that now. You know, that's not how you train a horse. We train through reward. We don't train through punishment, or we shouldn't be, should we say. But that said, you know, we've all been in a situation where you might get frustrated. Did you kick the horse a little too hard? Did you pull on their mouth? And what about when you're learning? You know, we're not all born with perfect hands and perfect seats. Where's
you're right.
the line?
This was different than that.
Yeah, I mean, we are much more enlightened. The FBI are absolutely right to suspend her while they investigate this. They're absolutely categorically right. Horse welfare has to come first. What worries me is that, and we've just mentioned about the timing, equestrianism was already brought into question as to whether it would form part of the Olympics in the future. After the modern pentathlon in Tokyo, which, again, it was awful behavior towards a horse. It was terrible horsemanship. That should never have happened either. And now this. Will we see equestrianism in Atlanta? Who knows? And I think that's really sad, because actually there's a lot of skill. There's a lot of great athletes, a lot of great horses. There are athletes with very sound training methods, and then they're being penalized by someone that's perhaps not using ethical training methods.
Yeah, and especially around the Olympics, because what you said, they were looking at getting rid of it anyway, right? I mean, it's something that they were looking at, throwing away anyway. We don't need to give them an excuse. I mean, you're right. I mean, I think Jamie's joining us now. Are you there, Jamie?
I'm here.
All right.
Sorry, vet visit.
Yeah, I told everybody that you had a late vet visit, but we just started the conversation here about Charlotte and how it's really two different things. We're talking about the first thing, obviously, is what she did, and then the second thing was the timing of it. We haven't gotten to that yet, but Katie did a good job of explaining this just wasn't right in any scenario.
No, there's absolutely no excuse for it.
You watched it, Jamie, right?
I did, and it made my stomach sick, and unfortunately, what I got from it is like, she's the one we're supposed to count on for not having that kind of behavior. But it was done, and she did it. And I do appreciate the statement that she made. Like, I felt like that was probably more genuine than any one I've seen from anybody before, especially that Bob Baffert nonsense we had on Monday's show.
It's been a week for these statements, hasn't it?
But I don't understand watching it. I'm like, what are we trying to accomplish here?
That's what Katie said too. It's like, what?
Yeah, there was.
Yeah, no. I'm looking at it, and all I can think is that they're aiming towards some sort of collection in the most terrible way. And actually all they're doing is putting tension into the horse, which is the opposite of what dressage is supposed to achieve.
And what Charlotte tends to achieve. But now we question how she's achieved things in the past, did she do this to Blueberry? Like, oh my God. But then you see the timing of it and like, what?
See, that's a whole separate. I want to discuss these separately because the timing is a whole different issue. We'll get to that. But was anybody bothered by the whoever was filming? I'm assuming laughing the whole time.
That really, really bothered me. It really bothered me because I just thought, I'll be completely honest. If I was sitting watching someone do that to my horse, I would be taking them out of that arena by the scruff of their neck. I just wouldn't allow my horse to be hit like that. And I wouldn't allow my horse to be confused like that. I mean, the horse was blatantly did not understand the assignment whatsoever. And to hear someone laughing at it is almost as bad as actually doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. Because people in that situation, if everybody was like, what are you doing? And somebody would just said something, speak for those who can't speak for themselves. The horse is very clearly lodging a complaint. Like, I mean, he was terrified and scared to death and just running forward and jumping forward. And it's the encouragement. It's that like pack mentality of like, everybody's laughing and cheering it along basically. And that to me, those people are just as guilty as she is almost.
Well, the bigger problem.
go ahead,
Katie.
Sorry, if you change that scenario and let's say it was all people and the horse was one person, and these other people are laughing and effectively bullying that one person. Can you imagine the outcry at how someone treated that one person? So it's no wonder that people, have this outcry towards the horse.
So what Charlotte did was wrong, obviously. We all agree on that. But what makes it worse is I was looking around today. I read about a dozen articles, and I was looking at all the comments. And this hit mainstream big time. And it's what we've always said. It's things like this that are going to get us kicked out of the Olympics, right? It's going to, and it gives it. I cannot tell you the number of comments from the animal rights people on all of these posts saying we shouldn't be riding horses at all.
Do you know what's worse is like watching, I've been to a couple rodeos in the past month, and like, it's not just in dressage,
it's
like
everywhere.
It's just everywhere. And it's like, people normalize it. But what shocks me is like, who released this a week before the Olympic Games? Like,
there's the other thing.
What person did this? Because is it somebody from another team? Is it somebody who had she made mad? Yeah, like there's so many more questions. Granted, it's horrible and she did it, but I just wonder.
But it was horrible 4 years ago too.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
This is my point. So there's a little bit of, it's a little unclear when it actually happened, because Charlotte states that it was 4 years ago. There's been other statements that have come out that have said it was 2 years ago. But 4 years, 2 years, it wasn't an hour ago, was it? So for me, if you are so concerned about the welfare of the horse, why wasn't it released to the FEI sooner? Yeah. That's what I don't understand. Why would you do it now? Was horse welfare not a concern 2 or 4 years ago, or whenever it was? It's come from a Dutch lawyer. Now, we don't know who that Dutch lawyer is actually representing, but I find it bizarre that it's come out now. It's a little bit too coincidental for me that it's right before an Olympic Games. Now, you could argue twofold. Is this because the rider's been wound up by her and therefore wants her out of the Games? Is it someone who feels strongly about the social license of riding horses and actually wants to bring bad treatment to the fore?
Yeah, but they would have done that 2 years ago if it was somebody like that. That's my point.
Would they have got this? Yeah. But would they have got the same media attention that they're going to get before an Olympic Games?
No.
So this is my point. What is the agenda here? Because I'm damn sure there is one.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, Katie, we appreciate you joining us for this. I don't obviously. We've said how we feel about it. Everybody knows how we feel about this kind of thing. Who is replacing her for the team?
So Becky Moody was going as a travelling reserve. And at the moment, we haven't had a statement released that said she'll definitely be riding. I really hope she is. She rides a horse called Jägerbomb. I saw him at the London International. And believe me, this horse took my breath away. And the reason he took my breath away was that he was so correct. He looked so relaxed.
Well,
I don't know about you, but when I watch dressage now, quite often I look at a lot of the horses and it's all front end, nothing is happening behind. Now, you look back to the
I think she's in, I think we lost Katie. She's in the Netherlands right now on vacation.
You see now.
Are you back? We lost you for a minute.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We didn't lose her. I didn't lose her. I had her the whole time.
Oh, yeah, I lost her. So, Katie, we're going to let you go. Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it, and we'll see how this all plays out.
Can I just add one small thing that would be really good for people to actually keep in mind? The social media in the UK has gone hard on Charlotte, as you would expect.
I've lost her again.
Suicide. People need to remember that whatever Charlotte has done and what she has done is wrong, that nothing will take that away. She is a mother, and she is a partner, and she is a person.
I keep losing Katie, so I'm going to have to let her go because...
God, if you could...
Yeah, she's gone now. I lost her.
Every aspect of the world. Glenn, I think the connection is you because I didn't lose her.
Okay, yeah, I lost her. Sorry. You hear me?
Yeah. So
okay.
What she said was very important,
Go
actually.
ahead and say it.
That Charlotte is a human and a mother and a partner and still a human. And social media, they lost a presenter not too long ago to suicide because of the social media bullying. So, let's just, you can have your opinion, but more is going to come out about this. So just be patient and wait, it can be this internet that we have is just such a dangerous thing.
And I don't know how you can argue that this is taken out of context because we just saw a small clip because it's not right anyway. But I don't know what happened before or after. And there's so many comments about this right now. But anyway, that's where we're going to go on to something happier because I need to go on to something happier today. So, how about we quickly do some daily Whinnies, and then we're going to get a live report from the Chincoteague Pony Swim. And I got to get the daily Whinnie going. Here we are.
Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you.
Well, I have two birthdays today, both auditors and both from Australia. Shannon Brooks and Fiona Deering. Happy birthday to both of you, and they're both Australians. And we have some brand new auditors, Rebecca and Debbie. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. If you haven't yet, go to search for HRN Auditors on Facebook, and you can join the party over there, but we do appreciate your support. And now it's your turn.
Well, I would like to give my daily Whinnie. I'm so excited, you guys. On Friday, some of our listeners are coming down. I'm not going to mention their names just in case they don't want to mention. They're going to come down and look at Taco Tuesday. So the vet visit that I had this morning was Taco. When I got him, Taco is a little pinto pony that I kind of acquired, and he had some really severe lacerations on his cheeks, like in the corners of his mouth, from probably some biting issues, and he has not been okay with being bridled and bitted ever since. And so, when he first got here, we did a dental and we did all sorts of stuff. Excuse me. And so the vet came out this morning, and I've been continually trying to get him to take the bit. And usually horses, when I train them, they get better. I can fix things. This one is just a no. He is just a no. I don't know if it's just going to take years or what, but in the world of let's let our horse tell us something is wrong and listen to them. I had the vet out this morning to do a oral exam. I'm like, there is a reason this horse will not open its mouth. I just know he's telling me something hurts. And so his cheeks
Don't
and
tell
his
me it's
teeth
something gross.
and
I can't
everything.
handle gross right now. Don't tell me it's
Are you
something
ready
gross.
for what? Are you ready for
No,
what we
I'm not
found?
actually.
Nothing.
Oh.
We found nothing. Nothing. Like, how is this horse not better? I mean, and so I was like, just float him, just do whatever he needs to do, float it. So we floated him again. There is nothing wrong with him. What is wrong with me as a trainer? I can't get it done. I can't get this. So we started riding him. The mouse in my pocket, and we started riding him in a dually halter. Like, I was like, this is just, I don't know. I don't know how to fix his problem because it's not anything, Glenn. I'm so frustrated.
I did see that video. He looked like he went pretty well in the dually, though, actually.
He went great.
Yeah.
I've long lined him a couple of days in it to make sure he was moving really well with it. And he's been great. And I just knew that I was going to find like some abscess on his tongue or some like magical
coming out of his
laceration
mouth.
in his cheek. Yeah. Infected tooth, Not a damn thing. Not a thing. So, hello, money. Goodbye, money. Bye. It's fun having you for the last 3.5 minutes.
It's been a great beginning of the show here today. Hey, we're going to do something more fun. We're going to go to Kim Porter, who's done this with us before. I think for the last 10 years now, we've contacted somebody that's been at the Chincoteague Pony Swim, and it's live this morning. However, this year, because they go by tides, how high low the tide is, they swim between noon and 1, and we'll be done recording by then. So she's going to give us the pre-report of what's going on and how many. You remember, everybody has to get there at like 4 a.m. to get lined up to see this thing. So let's give Kim a call and see what's going on over there on the islands. And I love doing this every year. I'm sure there's haters for this too. Swimming the poor ponies across. Hey, Kim, how are you?
Hey, I'm great. How are you?
You're good. You're on with Jamie and I, and you're on. We're recording right now. So, what's going on? Give us the play-by-play of what's happening and where you're at.
We are literally on the front line in a front swim. We're about, 50 yards off of Chincoteague, and the nose of the boat is just pointed right. The ponies will swim right by us.
Now, you had to get there early, right?
We got up at 3:30, and we were at the boat shortly after 4. Yep.
God, that's dedication, Kim.
Like you're going to a horse show or something.
Yeah. Yeah, without the braiding, and we don't have to polish any brass, so it's all good.
Kim, what number is this for you of times you've gone?
Although
20, you said?
There were a couple of years where they didn't swim. Yeah, there were a couple of years they didn't swim because of COVID, but we've been coming for 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
And have you ever bought any of the ponies?
3. Yep, we have 3. And they're wonderful. We bought 2 in 2004 and then came back for the 3rd time in 2005. And my husband said, whatever you do, don't buy another pony. And we accidentally bought one.
Of course.
You know
how it
what?
happens
Tell
sometimes.
me not to do something and see what happens. I get it. I get it. Now I'm interested because I have 2 on the schedule, 2 Chincoteague ponies to start for their owners that bought them years ago at the swim. And what do you think? Kind of like give me some hot tips about their demeanor and how they are to be around.
Oh, I think Kim has a bad connection. Can you hear her? She sounded like she's, well, I'm sure Chincoteague Island is not great for cell service.
I mean, literally, she's in a boat in a river right now. So, I mean, having connection issues.
Kim, we lost you there for a little while. We
You
didn't.
there? Okay.
We didn't hear any of the helping Jamie out. So start from scratch
okay.
there.
Yeah, they're definitely more instinctive than the thoroughbreds that I've trained. Definitely more, you have to have a conversation with them. You can't tell them what they're going to do. You have to ask nicely.
Just like a woman.
Yeah. They're wonderful fun, but all 3 of mine drive. And I've competed 1 through prelim, and then he was so much fun to drive. The problem is I didn't get the other 2 going because I was having so much fun with him.
Oh.
And then so I started the one that we brought the same time we brought Thunder. I started the other one. Showed her a couple times. I showed him as a pair a couple times and little combined driving events, and then. She did her first pleasure show a few weeks ago, and she's going to go to GMHA single this year. So,
Nice.
And then the 3rd one, maybe next year he'll make his debut at 19, but that's okay.
That's great. Well, so paint the picture of what you're looking at right now. You're sitting in a boat in the water, and how many people are there, you think?
How many people are on other boats? Lots and lots. How many people do you think are here sitting in boats? Oh, man. We're here, 150 boats probably. We're in a lovely little 6-person boat, which is really nice. We can stretch out. And my niece is here. She is painting, rapidly painting ponies using the salt water from the bay here with her watercolors. It's great.
Oh, that's
tons of boats waiting. You know, we were among the first to get here this morning. We had the 2nd annual inflatable pony race. We did it last year for the first time, and we've improved.
Kim, unfortunately, we're losing you. We're going to have to let you go because the connection is so bad. We're only getting about every 3rd word, but we do appreciate you helping us out here today. Oh, I think I've lost her.
And don't buy a pony. Don't do it, Kim.
Wait, we're having bad luck with connections today. Well, one was from the Netherlands, and the other might as well have been. Kim,
I know, right?
Yeah, it's like Apologize to that, everybody. We do what we can with these reports like this, and I do want to thank Katie. I didn't mention this before. She is on vacation, and she agreed to come on today during vacation to do that. So we do appreciate it. And it sounds like that she got. Can you imagine they had to get up at 3:30? You're dedicated. Get up at 3:30 to watch ponies swim across the water.
Well, you know what? It worked because they're first in line, and they got there as one of the first groups. So lesson for those who go in the future. Wow, that's so cool. Time.
And now you got a little bit. So apparently you don't tell Chincoteague ponies what to do. You encourage them is what I got.
I don't tell anything to do anything, so I get it. It'll be fine.
You're not chasing them around with a lunge whip. You're okay. You're fine.
No, I'm not. I'm not enhancing collection via violence.
We talked about that just to wrap that up. This is why, and I wanted to come full circle on that. I talked about the fact that this was a common thing 30 years ago. Everybody did it, right? But that's why Monty started, was to stop this. That's why he did what he did. That's why you're here. That's why you did what you did. I mean, it's
I gotta tell you, I gotta read you a message that was. So I posted that video of Taco yesterday trotting in the arena
with the dually.
And with the dually.
Yep.
And I'm just trotting him in a circle, and I get this message. Saw him in Murfreesboro, wasn't impressed. John Lyons is who I base my training on. Sorry, could tell you about Monty Roberts. I'll blow your mind. Monty is a phony. I would love to talk to you about training horses. Maybe I could learn some tips from you. Good luck in your training. We both could learn from each other. Or maybe not. But we both have one thing in common. We both love horses. I would love to talk to you. And I replied, no thanks. I'm good. Thank you. Appreciate it. No, I didn't delete it because I wanted people to just see the crazy.
That was a comment under that video?
Yes, just a random comment under the video. I have like 6,000 followers now, and that is scary to me. I go through, I delete bots who I think is bots, and it's so scary to have that many people have access. I'm tempted to just start the page over if it wasn't helping the thoroughbreds get adopted, but it's scary. And I get stuff like that, and if you think Monty is whatever, I don't think there's anybody who has seen more of him than me. I've been going to his farm 4 times a year since 2015. Guys, I get it. I know the man. I was talking to Chad about it because I read that to Chad last night, and I'm like, this is one of the very few men in my life who have not disappointed me. And I know that sounds horrible, but I worked for an Olympian and he sexually harassed me. And then I've had male farriers that have been inappropriate and male vets that have been inappropriate. And, Monty is the one person who has never been inappropriate or disappointed me. What do you mean? Oh, well, Chad's not a horse person.
No, I meant me. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're right. I kind of consider you a woman. So you're kind of a girl. Yeah, you're right. You've never disappointed me or been inappropriate with. Well, that's not fair. You have been inappropriate with me, but it's all for funny.
Yeah. I think actually the other way. You've been more inappropriate with me than I have with you.
Definitely. No disrespect, Jen. It's just the way that it is. But yeah, no. And so I get stuff like that, and you just see, and then you see the violence happening, from the person that we all look up to more than anybody in the horse world and the dressage world for sure was Charlotte. So
I think it was the horse world in her case. Well,
so
all right.
Tough.
Let's talk about State Line Tack. If you head on over there right now, they are having a sale on Western saddles and tack. And when you're from the English side, you don't realize how much stuff there is in the Western world. There is a ton more than on the English side. And right now,
they have such cool colors and saddle pads.
They beat us in colors. They beat us in colors and cool looking saddle pads for sure. And even their saddles are colorful, a lot of them. So, and the tooling for sure. So head on over over there right now, there are 79 pages of sales, including saddle pads and saddles and saddle bags. They have girths and cinches.
It's so hard for me this past week in Colorado to be like, tighten your cinch.
Yeah, I know, bits and just everything up to 50% off right now. If you head on over to statelinetack.com, you're going to find a banner on the homepage. Click on that, and you'll find all the Western saddles and tack. And it's 3,748 different items. So when you have a minute or two, hop on over there to check out the sales.
Right.
All right, we're going to head next to, it's our horse health report, and it's brought to you by the Daily Dose Equine, non-GMO core nutrition for horses and ponies of all ages. Laura Kenny, who's an extension educator for the Penn State Extension Office, on her article called Trees in Horse Pastures, and some of them are bad. Well, hey, Laura, thanks for joining us today.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here.
So you're an extension educator for Penn State, right?
That is correct, yes.
So what does that mean? What do you do?
So extension is an arm of every land-grant college, and so our job is to do education for the agricultural community. So I work specifically with the horse community and the horse industry, but we also have agricultural agents who work with crops. We've got family consumer science agents that work with, families on things like canning and nutrition. So we've got a little bit of everything, but my personal job is to work with the horse industry, and I do a lot of programming and writing around pasture management, horse health and care and that sort of thing.
Okay. So my wife and I just bought 5 acres, and it was nothing but really thick trees. So we had to have it cleared. And after they were done clearing, we left a lot of trees. And as we're getting the farm prepared, she said, get your chainsaw. They left some that we have to cut down, and chokecherry was a bunch of them. But you did an article called Trees in Horse Pastures, and it went over, and I like the subtitle too, What Trees Provide a Good Source of Shade and Pastures and Which Ones Are Bad. So
pretty much.
Let's talk about the toxic trees. Let's go over those, because I think one of our neighbors has horses and didn't realize that the chokecherry trees were bad. So I think a lot of people don't know. So can we go through them and talk about which are the main culprits?
Of course, yeah. And, as I go through this list, I will say that I have seen most of these trees in horse pastures as I go out on farm visits and help people. And the horses have been just fine. So I think, it's sort of a risk tolerance here, because the worst could happen, but a lot of times it doesn't. So my first tree on the toxic list is the red maple. So this one has very toxic leaves, but they're mostly toxic when they wilt or fall off of the tree. So something about that wilting process releases a toxin and makes it more available for the horse. And it can cause death. It's very, very toxic. So our biggest concern with a red maple tree would be if a branch comes down in a storm and it's full of leaves, and over the next couple of days, those leaves start to wilt, and your horse goes and clears them off the branch. The branch or the leaves that are fresh on the branches, on the tree, I'm not so worried about. Additionally, when the leaves fall in the autumn, they are somewhat toxic. They remain toxic for about 30 days or so, but a horse would have to eat a couple of pounds of them to start, becoming sick. So red maples, again, I see them all over. They don't, automatically mean your horses are in danger if they've been living with it in the pasture for quite some time and they've been fine. It's just one of those things that the risk is there. So if you are very risk averse, maybe you want to get rid of that red maple.
Gotcha. And then the
risk averse also translates to horses try to kill themselves all the time. So just take one less thing.
I like how you say in here, this can result in rapid death. It's like, well, that's clear.
It can. Yeah, like a lot of times you don't even see the symptoms.
How about chokecherry? That's the one a lot of people see, and we have them in Florida. Yeah.
Yeah, I see these everywhere too. These have cyanide in the pits of the cherries, the leaves, the bark, the shoots. So it's kind of the same deal where if a branch falls off and those leaves start to wilt, it sort of releases the cyanide into a form that's more easily toxic to the horse. So same thing. If a branch comes down in a storm, you are in danger. Your horses could be in danger if they go out and eat it. So I think the moral of the story here is if you have a branch come down in a storm, just get it out of there as quickly as you can.
Gotcha. What other ones should we look for?
We have got horse chestnut, which is also called buckeye. So they have very pretty white flowers most of the time. They're pretty easy to
Is this the one
identify.
that drops the buckeye nuts, like Ohio State Buckeyes, that kind of thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. That's why they're called that. The black locust is another tree that is toxic to horses. It's got big spines where the twig attaches to the branch. So that helps in identifying it. Oaks, which are very
we have none
common,
of those.
are
We have
actually
no
on my
live oaks in
toxic list.
Florida.
Really?
No, I'm joking. We have them everywhere.
I was going to say, I'm like, I don't know about that.
How are the oak trees toxic?
So the most common issue with the oaks is the green acorns, right? So, as they mature, they turn brown. So when they're still immature and young and green, if they were to fall to the ground and you had a horse just absolutely gorge themselves on these acorns, that could result in sickness.
My Hackney pony, by the way, we have tons of acorns because there's live oak trees everywhere. And they're beautiful, right? Nobody wants to cut down the big live oaks because they're beautiful. And my pony will eat hundreds of pounds of these acorns. Now, I think he's eating them when they fall off and they're brown. But he will eat every acorn in the pasture. He hasn't died because I think he's probably eating them after they're browned.
Could be.
So
that's tricky.
So first of all, Glenn, you're lucky your pony's not dead. That's ridiculous. It should not be eating. Your pony's already fat.
We could
weight
not.
Problem.
We don't have the time to take the acorns out of the pasture. There's so many.
So, but they're not as bad if they're brown, you're saying, versus, because we have some oak trees in the pasture. My husband loves these trees more than me. We're the horses.
Mm-hmm.
So we have had, the one that drops the most acorn though is fenced off, but they're everywhere. I mean, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
And so I've talked to many different vets about the things, and I've never heard the green, but some vets are like, oh, it's a good source of protein. And other vets are like, your horse is going to die. So
yeah,
you're saying the
probably
worst is the
just
green.
depends on whether they've seen a case of it or not.
Yeah.
It's probably true.
And again, I see these absolutely everywhere in horse pastures, and I'm not seeing horses dropping dead from this right and left.
Gotcha.
Not something I'm super, super concerned about, but it is a risk. It's always a risk.
Now, the one we all hear about, whether you're really into horses or not, you casually hear about this from the old timers, is walnut trees, is black walnut trees.
Mm-hmm.
So why black walnut trees?
Black walnut trees are a really interesting case because they don't necessarily have to be consumed to be a problem. It's actually the wood from the tree. So if you were to get some hardwood shavings from like a lumber mill or something and you don't really know what's in them, if they were to contain even a very small percentage, 20% black walnut shavings, that can trigger laminitis in your horse.
Yeah, this is the one we hear a lot about, and it's sad because black walnut trees are pretty and walnuts are good.
Oh, they're gorgeous.
But, so it is sad. But I know we had one actually in the one farm we lived in, and Jennifer was like, and this tree had to be 3 feet around. It was enormous. And she's like, get the chainsaw out. That one has to go. So it had to go.
Yeah, see, that's one that I'm not sure if it is better or worse to remove it. In the short term, you're creating sawdust that's going in your pasture, right? So then you've got that on the ground. And then, it's not like eating the leaves is going to make them sick. Perhaps the walnuts that fall down could get moldy. There could be mycotoxins in that. But yeah, I don't know whether it's safer to cut them down or leave them.
Oh, interesting. And fencing off a black walnut tree, they're so wide that take half your pasture. Fencing off.
Absolutely.
They're so big.
Yeah, they're massive.
The other thing, I have a relative that always said trees are dirty. I hate trees. They're dirty. And they lived in the city, by the way. And they're right. Trees are dirty. They shed all the time. They leaves. They are dirty. And then the other thing, you talk about it in your article, trees and fencing. They're always taking down our fences. We do have a love-hate relationship with trees when you're a horse person.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I get it.
So this is a great article. Everybody should go check it out. I'll put a link to it in the show notes. There's more trees than we talked about here, crabapple trees and other trees, mesquite and things like that you've probably heard of or heard the old timers talk about. But I love this article. I love how concise it was, and we appreciate you coming on this morning to talk about it. I think it's something everybody needs to think about.
Oh, wonderful. Well, thank you so much, and I'm happy to talk about it.
All right. Thanks, Laura. And the website, too, for what you guys do is extension.psu.edu, correct?
Correct. Yep. So if you go to that website, there's a menu button. And if you click on that menu button, you'll see animals and livestock, and you can scroll right on over to equine. And you'll see we have tons of articles on pasture management, nutrition and feeding, health and care, and so on. And, if you're in Pennsylvania, or even if you're not, we do a lot of seminars, webinars, so you can join us from anywhere and learn about all sorts of different equine topics.
Thank you, Laura. Appreciate it.
Yes, you are very welcome.
All right,
Thanks,
care.
Laura.
All right, have a good one. Bye.
There's so many wives' tales about, old timers talking about trees and which trees are bad and which trees are good. That's why I wanted to have her on, because I've heard so many stories about different trees.
Oh, it changes all the time. So definitely we'll be going to extension.psu.edu to check it out for sure. And then I'm going to show my husband. Look, I told you.
That live oak tree is bad. Do you have live oaks out there? Or just the big oaks? The red oaks?
What's the difference? It's an oak. I don't know.
There are differences. But
he put up a bunch of oaks along our driveway, and they were young, and the horses were nibbling on them. Ooh. And he was like, your horses are eating. I'm like, you put trees in my pasture. So he has now fenced off like a boxer on every single one of them. And I was like, suck it. That's what you get.
Until they grow bigger and bigger and spread out over his fence.
Exactly. It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
All right, let's hear from Daily Dose, and then we're going to come back with some weird news.
I'm here with the mad scientist who developed Daily Dose equine horse feeds, Janet Geyer. And I wanted to have a quick chat with you because Daily Dose equine horse feed are non-GMO whole food nutrition based. And a lot of people go, oh, that comes from a small dedicated feed mill. I won't be able to get that when I travel. They're wrong, aren't they?
They are. You can get it through Chewy anywhere in the United States. Or if you live locally in Maryland and Northern Virginia, you can get it delivered.
There you go. Chewy.com. It will deliver it anywhere you want. You can also schedule delivery in advance so you can have it delivered every X number of days. And you can go in there to your account and change it every time you move horse show venues. So check it out today, dailydoseequine.com online or chewy.com.
Even under the best circumstances, travel is stressful for horses. We've all been there, stuck on the side of the road in the middle of nowhere. You can make the journey knowing that US Rider is there for you. Get peace of mind on the road with US Rider's nationwide 24/7 roadside assistance coverage for both you and your horse. Join today at usrider.org.
Time to learn why some days you're embarrassed to be part of the human race in Jamie's Weird News.
It's my favorite segment of the week, Glenn, because when you read stuff like this, you just feel more normal. And the magic is I only do 4 stories every Wednesday. However, I get to read So many submitted by our listeners, and many submit many stories. I would like to say that I remember I kind of decided that we would have a segment called What Could Possibly Go Wrong?
Yeah.
And I am collecting those. I've had a few submissions. So if you ever are reading something and you're like, oh, well, what could possibly go wrong? Email it to me, Jamie@horseradionetwork.com. With that in the subject line, I'm going to present a bunch of them to you. But also, if you're ever reading the news and you're like, that is super weird. Also, Jamie@horseradionetwork.com with weird news in the subject line, just like Laureen, Shelley, Julie, Michelle, Janelle, Melissa, Delia, even Glenn, Amy, Stephanie, Allison, Kimberly, and Claire all did. They sent me all these stories, and I have to pick through them, and I present you with 4 of them. I don't tell you who sent what because, frankly, it's none of my business. All right, so do you want to start in Florida or end in Florida?
I don't want to go to Florida at all.
I mean,
let's start there. That way we're not ending in Florida.
then we're done with it. Okay. So in Tampa, there is a Walgreens and they close at 10 p.m. Okay. Well, apparently Christopher Morgan entered the Walgreens at 9:40 p.m. and he went into the restroom. Apparently, nobody at the store before they locked up for the night checked the bathroom because I don't know what he was doing in there, but it seems like he might have fallen asleep because there's security cameras in Walgreens, people. They're recording everything. So apparently at 2:42 a.m., Christopher Morgan walked out of the restroom and he had the munchies. For some reason, he was locked in a Walgreens overnight. I don't know if he does this. Like, it's like a thing to do. It's like a TikTok challenge. Get locked in a Walgreens. So security footage shows the man just basically feasted. I mean, this is the feast you and I wish we could eat. He roamed the aisles, treating himself to Tostitos chips, regular chips, Reese's chocolate, Ghirardelli chocolate bars, started swigging some Dr. Pepper, then went to the front, pulled himself out some Newport cigarettes, and started some... Okay. So I guess there was...
Well, Ghirardelli chocolate is good taste.
I mean, come on, it's all delicious. Like, wouldn't you want to just grub out in a Walgreens like all night long and then just finish out your night with a good, smoke a pack of Newports?
I assume they caught him the next morning when they came in and the place was trashed and he was sitting there in a food coma.
So I think at some point he set off some sort of alarm because the police officers arrived when it was still dark.
That's when he was trying to get in the drug section in the pharmacy in the back.
Exactly. Beep, 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 beep. So officers arrived, and thank God for body cams. I just love a good body camera footage. So when they arrived, they actually saw him behind the counter pulling out the cigarettes, and they then had to unlock the front doors. But apparently the guy was like, "Hey, I'm in here." So he actually helped the police unlock the doors. And then the security alarms start boop, boop, boop. He made no attempt to exit the store or ever called to get out of the store. He was just going to stay there all night long and wait till they open. They pulled him out of the Walgreens. They arrested him. You can hear the cops saying, "Is there anybody else in there?" And he's like, "I just came here to use the bathroom." That's what he said. He did then attempt to resist the efforts to place him in the squad car.
No kidding.
As he was getting put in the squad car, how gross is this? He spit in the face of an officer with like all that cigarette and sugar breath.
They don't get paid enough.
No, they do not. He was arrested for burglary of an unoccupied structure, larceny, petty theft, resisting an officer without violence, and battery on a law enforcement officer. You can't spit on the police. Yeah, they don't get paid enough.
There is a classic Florida man for you right there. That fits the description.
So, Glenn, you have dug all the wells on your property. Like, you've dug a bunch of holes and they finally found
like
water?
85 of them, yeah.
And you got water and everything?
Yeah, yeah.
Now, all those other holes, have they filled them in?
Yes.
Okay, because I read the story and I was like, how is this not in Florida and Ocala? So this is in Portland, Oregon. There's not a lot. This is one of those, like, I have more questions than answers. So I'm just going to give you what I got. But apparently there was a pipe. It's about a foot wide. Okay. And I don't know how he was found, but it's a foot wide. It's a ventilation pipe from a nearby parking garage. It's a foot wide. 40 feet down was a man. It's like Baby Jessica, but like drunk guy version of Baby Jessica.
What state was this?
In Portland, Oregon,
Oh, okay.
fire and rescue crews responded to a report of a person stuck in a hole. I guess people in a nearby building heard the man going, help, help, help. And they called 911. The police come out, firefighters. They're like, sir, how did you get in this ventilation pipe 40 feet down? How? Do you want to guess what his answer is?
He was tired and wanted a nap?
He has no idea. He just woke up. He woke up at the bottom of the pipe.
Drugs are
and
bad.
has no idea how he got there. Drugs are bad. He was not seriously hurt. They rescued him fairly quickly. Drugs are bad.
Drugs are
Good
bad.
point.
Very bad. And that doesn't matter what state you're in.
Doesn't matter. Just really bad. So this is in North Carolina, and we said drugs are bad, but I would say also what's bad is heavy drinking. Like, I mean, too much of anything is bad. So on Sunday, the emergency center in Polk County, North Carolina, received a 911 call, and it was a man, and he was stuck in the middle of nowhere. So he calls 911. They're like, 911, what's your emergency? And he's like, hey, I'm stuck. I'm out here in the middle of nowhere, and I need somebody to come pick me up. Like, where are you, sir? He's like, I'm on Altamonte Road. Sir, there is no Altamonte Road in Polk County. Well, dispatchers were able to eventually figure out the man was calling from two completely different roads, like he was in the intersection. And the Polk County Sheriff's Office came out, and they said it was not difficult to find the man as he was not wearing any clothes. 1 o'clock in the morning. I think he had some panties on, but that's it. So it was not hard to find him. According to deputies, he was fairly intoxicated. How did he get there? You ask? Well, see, what happened was I was in the car with my fiance, and we got in a fight, and she just pulled over and kicked me out of the dang car and left me here stranded with nowhere to go. And so I did what anybody would do, is call 911 and ask the police to give me a ride. Well, here's the problem. He's apparently on felony probation for drinking. So they said one of the stipulations of probation is you're not allowed to drink any alcohol. And they said, due to violating his probation, deputies said they did find a place for him to go. And that was jail.
He got the detox there.
You got this.
Maybe they gave him some clothes too. So she took the clothes, right? That's what we get out of that.
I don't really want to know what was happening in that car before she got mad and kicked him out.
All right, one more?
Yep.
Oh, wait a minute. There we go.
All right, since we started in Florida, we'll end up in St. Louis, okay? Drugs are bad. That is the theme for the day, is drugs are bad. So, this is so stupid. It's like, it's hard to even say that this happened because it's so stupid. Okay, well, there is I got to find the name of the restaurant. Okay, Jack in the Box. You know what Jack in the Box is?
Yeah, it's a little fast food place, right?
It's a little fast food place. And according to the St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department, somebody at the Jack in the Box called 911 but I'm going to back up and tell you what happened to precipitate the 911 call. Talanya Carter is 41 years old, and she went to the Jack in the Box, and she said, I need to talk to the manager. And so the manager comes out, and she's like, last Saturday, I came out here and I ordered the chicken strips. Again, this is really stupid. I ordered the chicken strips, and y'all forgot one. And the manager's like,
last Saturday?
Yeah, this is like a Tuesday. And last Saturday I came out here and y'all forgot a chicken strip. So the manager's like, let me just take care of this. You know what, ma'am? I'll go get you one right now. So goes to the back, gets her a chicken strip, brings it out, hands it to her. Here you go, ma'am. I'm replacing the missing chicken strip. Police said despite this, she became irritated. Why would she become irritated, Glenn? I'm incorporating you into all these stories today.
It wasn't cooked.
There is not enough ranch dressing.
We all know you gotta have a lot of ranch dressing for your chicken strips.
There's not enough ranch dressing for this
that
one
has pissed me off at times
strip.
too, to be honest.
And again, she spit in the store manager's face.
We have a theme today.
Drugs and spitting. So they were like, she spit in her face and turned around and walked out. And as she's leaving the Jack in the Box, she goes to her car. Again, I'm telling these stories and I'm like, I can't believe I'm wasting breath on this, but this happened. So she goes to the car and the manager's like, hey, I'm going to get her license plate because I've got spit in my eye. They can't just do that. And so she went out a separate exit to take pictures of her license plate. And so she used this different exit. And apparently she was spotted. The manager was spotted. And Carter then turned around and said, are you trying to get charges put on me? And police said she went into her vehicle, put the car into reverse, and backed into the manager. Okay.
Oh, so now we have assault to the list.
Yeah. Then ran over the manager's left foot and ankle, knocked her to the ground, and then she put it in drive. And then tried to hit her again.
Attempted
she
murder.
Scrambled out of the way, and then she left the scene. But the good news is the manager had taken pictures of the license plate. So she was arrested the following day. Okay, you're missing a chicken strip and you want some extra ranch. Well, now she is charged with 2nd-degree assault, 4th-degree assault. She's in jail without bond, and she's got a court date on August 20th.
So she's going to serve 5 years thanks to that chicken strip.
Thanks to one.
She'll be getting a lot of crappy chicken strips and no ranch dressing in jail.
Exactly. It just makes me think like, you know, like I think I've watched enough movies where like Shawshank and they're like, what are you in for? You know, I didn't get a chicken strip and then there wasn't enough ranch. And so I was, you know, that's what I'm in for. I'm pretty hardcore criminal. Oh, good Lord. Drugs are bad, people.
Hey, can I add one? Because I sent it to you late, so you probably didn't get a chance to look at it. Caitlin Hagedorn, who is a heavy equipment operator in Columbia Falls, which I'm not sure where that is. You can never tell when you're on a newspaper website where the newspaper actually is. So she was going to drive home from work. She got in her car, and there was a lightning storm going on. Well, as she was driving home from work, she watched lightning strike a tree in front of her, and it exploded. She was driving her 2006 Saturn Ion. First of all, there's still a Saturn Ion running. That's another thing. But she was driving. She swerved into the other lane because she saw this tree explode. A 12-foot chunk of tree went through her front windshield, went through the passenger seat, went between her children's car seats in the back, and 2 feet into her trunk.
Oh.
And there's a picture of this. This thing is a good 10 to 12 inches around. So if she hadn't swerved, she'd have been dead. I mean, that's what it comes down to. And she said, if my husband and kids had been along, I'd been dead because I'd have been in the passenger seat. It's amazing that she survived. She didn't get a scratch. Apparently, when she saw it coming, she turned her head so the glass from the windshield didn't get her. And she filed the police report, and they let her drive it home with the tree sticking out. So she drove it home that way and filed her. She said the car's totaled now. They won't replace it. I guess, 2006 Saturn. They're probably not going to. Talk about your lucky day.
That is crazy. So I did read this story and I thought it was amazing and not.
Did you see the picture?
Weird. Yes. I mean, it is like there is a giant tree branch through her front seat. I saw the movie Twisters, by the way.
Oh, did you see the new movie? Yeah.
Yeah, I saw the new one. And that reminds me of this, like just how fleeting and how powerful weather can be.
How was the movie? Well, tell us about it quick.
Well, let's finish this story because I wanted to point out I did read this story and I thought that my favorite part was at the end. They're like, the car is ruined, completed an accident report. They let her drive it home, and which basically means she has no insurance, right? So, and the whole thing, and they're like, it's a shame. I really like that little car. It was so reliable. That was my favorite part of the whole story. Like, I just love my little Saturn because people have Saturns. Freaking love their Saturns.
They do. They stopped. I don't know why they ever stopped making that car because everybody loved them.
I had a friend who bought a Saturn. He was like, they gave me fresh baked cookies when I bought it. Like, that's the least they should do.
It's a little thing. So Twister.
So it was incredibly entertaining. Like Lucas and I went. Was
it a repeat of the first one?
No, it's called they call it a standalone sequel. So none of the cast from the first one was in it, and the guy who's in it, oh my God, he's one of the most beautiful men on the planet. I just can't. Hangman from Maverick. Oh God, he's so beautiful. So he was in it, and I really wish.
Was the Dodge Ram in it, or was it a different truck this time?
I can't remember what. I think it was a Ram. Oh my God, it was the coolest tornado chasing vehicle. I was thinking of the ways of like my local tornado people that report things, and they must have just been cringing because he like drives in. This is not a spoiler.
It was set in Oklahoma too, wasn't it? Part of it, or something?
All of it takes place. Like I know all the towns they were in. We recognize things. I mean, when it was being filmed here, it was like a big deal. But he literally has this truck. And the cool thing is he drove it into the middle of a tornado. Okay. But like, turns out he has like augers that dig down into the ground, and he shot fireworks into a tornado. Okay.
Which has all been done by that tornado hunter. What's his name? The dude that his partner got killed, actually.
So anyway, it was crazy and ridiculous, and I just thought it must have been making our our Oklahoma weather people cringe because it was so stupid. But I wish they would have gotten to the point sooner, which is because he comes across as such a dick, but he's actually a great dude. Like, because you're like, how are they supposed to fall in love? Like, he's a dick, and then you're like,
there was a love story, of course.
No, that's the other. I'm not going to ruin it, but in the end, things are different. So it doesn't end the way you would expect it to end. And if anybody's seen it, you can message me because you know exactly what I'm talking about. But very entertaining. I went to the 4:30 Sunday matinee, and we bought the last 2 tickets.
So everybody in Oklahoma is seeing it.
Everybody in Oklahoma is going to see this thing. I'm curious to know if it, but I mean, it made like $90 million, like 180 million worldwide. Like it's a huge hit. So it was very enjoyable. You just have to get through the first like 15 minutes of like, put it together, people. Like I wanted it to come together a little quicker because I would have enjoyed it if I wasn't like cringing at what a douchebag this guy was.
You have to set reality aside a little bit too.
Yeah, for sure.
Like the first Twister movie.
Well, like there's like a part where there's all these people outside and the tornado makes a turn and there's all these kids out on the ball field. And you're like, come on. In Oklahoma, if there is the potential for weather to even happen, they cancel everything. So this never would have happened. Like just people, we're not that stupid. We're not that stupid. They know days in advance of when the weather's going to happen. So that was another part. I was like, come on, we're not dumb. We wouldn't be having our kids out on the baseball field with tornado threats in the area.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Yeah, I saw that in the preview and I went, no, that wouldn't happen.
That wouldn't happen. Like, I mean, Lucas is on a baseball team and they cancel games all the time for potential weather. So just keep in mind, like, people aren't trying to murder their children by leaving them out in bad weather, but it had to be done because it told a good story. But yeah, the place, like one of the cities that was destroyed was El Reno. And that's just west of Oklahoma City. I mean, we go to it all the time. My friends that live there. So it was definitely intense. It brought me to tears a few times just because of trauma associated with, I mean, granted, I'm teetering on the edge of emotional at the drop of a hat, but to see some of the things happen that I know actually have happened in this state, and to see it so, I mean, God, they can make it so real. They make it so real. And you're just like, I mean, crap like that happens out here. And so that was really tough for me to watch because it's just so intense, and you just get like a little post-traumatic stress about tornadoes. So if anybody's been in one, this is a very intense movie. But it was very entertaining, and Lucas liked it. And so it was, 11-year-old approved, and there were no
witches
what I actually appreciated was there's no witches,
no flying
brooms, and but there's no political agenda in it whatsoever. Never was climate change
It wasn't
mentioned.
a big global warming movie.
No, not at all. And apparently the director has said, like, they were like, why didn't you do it? He was like, movies shouldn't have political agendas. They should just be movies. And so that's what I liked about that. That's kind of what was good about Maverick. I just feel like it's time to go away from that in our entertainment. Our world is inundated with all that political messaging, and there was none of it in here. So I do recommend it. It was good. Go see it.
All right.
I give it a pass or fail. It's a pass.
Very good. Well, I'm going to talk about in the Auditor Post show.
And he's so hot. And there is a scene with him in a white t-shirt where he walks out in the rain. And I was like, audibly, the women were like, oh my God. Oh God. And apparently the director almost cut that. And the people who work in the editing revolted. And they were like, you have to leave that part in.
Lucas is going, why is everybody saying that?
Oh God. Oh my God. Oh, you know what happens to men in white cowboy hats and white t-shirts in the rain? It clings. It clings. Totally worth it. Thank God they kept that part in. Whew.
I'm gonna talk about in the Auditor Post show the Hoof Dreams documentary that is right now on Peacock, so that you can watch it there before the Olympics. And I'm gonna tell you what Jennifer and I thought of that coming up in the post show.
As Chad calls it, because we have it, he calls it "Turn on Peacock."
Peacock.
Peacock.
On that note,
it's just weird. Sorry.
We have the travel show for you tomorrow, and then we'll be back with some really bad ads on Friday.